What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of the Tflip Show. I'm so happy you guys are here. I'm really enjoying the second season. We have a lot coming. Without any spoilers, I could really say that there are so many guests that you guys are going to absolutely love. I've already got it booked. Some of them are even recorded already. So, really excited for myself and you guys to share it with you guys. I hope you guys continue to enjoy it the way that you guys have been. I'm getting a lot of good feedback, and just know I appreciate you guys. This episode, I'm going to be speaking with Ryan Dillard. Ryan works for the 49ers, and more specifically for 49ers Prep. He does work with the community and gets the kids involved with football, and it's really something special that he does. We covered all things from football to his work being as a DJ and everything in between, so I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. Hopefully you do as much as I did, and if you did, as I always tell you, be a friend and tell a friend. Send this episode with a friend, whether you send it through YouTube, whether you send the Spotify link, whatever it is. Just know that not only does that help me, but that helps people discover the show that, who knows, maybe they'll end up loving it. So with that being said, I'll let you guys get right into the video. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you on the next one. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of the Tflip Show. I'm joined here by none other than Ryan Dillard. I'm so excited for this episode. Ryan, how you doing down there?
I am doing wonderful. How's everything going with you?
Hey, it's great, man. I'm so glad you're here. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on out here and join me for an episode. So I kind of want to take the time here to just introduce yourself. Tell me about you and let us hear about Ryan.
For sure. So Ryan Dillard, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, born and raised, and went to Buford High School. From there, started playing football when I was in second grade, and that was a passion of mine. I grew up basically kind of like an Atlanta Falcons fan.
Oh, okay.
We used to go to the games all the time, and so there was one day when we went, and there was a kid at halftime who scored a touchdown. I was like, Dad, I want to do that. And so I was like, ever since then, I was like, football became a passion of mine, and started playing from a young age, and from there, so once I went to Buford, I got put on the map by my sophomore year pretty much. And a lot from there, more college interests started coming in, and went to state that year. And so a lot of the goals that I wrote down, one of the things I wanted to do was I wanted to guard one of the top receivers in the nation. I wanted to become an All-American, which happened that sophomore year.
Wow.
And also I put down on my 6th grade, 7th grade highlight tape that I wanted to go to USC. And it was wild because I wasn't getting recruited by USC at the time or anything going into my senior year. But after signing day, my dad ended up calling Coach O, who was there at the time. And he was like, hey, I want to send you this kid's highlight tape. Let me know what you think of him. And so when he sent Coach O the highlight tape, he checked it out. He was like, this kid can play. And he was like, oh, that's my son. And so Coach O was like, we would love to have him out. And so we were kind of leaving it at that. I was actually supposed to take a official to another school that same weekend. But I was like, you know what? I was like, let's fly out to USC. And so we found Coach O on campus and got a chance to shake his hand. And he was like, man, you're a lot bigger than I thought. You're bigger than our starting corner, Nikel Roby. And he was like, we want to make this happen. So he called up the D coordinator at the time, which was Monty Kiffin, called up Lane, who was the head coach at the time, Lane.
Oh, wow.
And, they showed me around campus and took care of me and showed me the stadium, the Collie. And they said, they were like, we want to make this happen. We may not have a scholarship to offer him, but we definitely want to get this kid in school. And so it was cool because they were able to open up the Common App for me to submit my application and get me in.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things that I tell, student athletes that are growing up and going to school, playing football, I tell them to always get their education. Yeah. Because I wouldn't have had that opportunity if I, wasn't on top of my grades. Yeah. And so I always preach that. But went to USC, majored in communication. Played for the Trojans. I played DB and a lot of special teams, and it was a wonderful experience. I actually walked on to the team and earned a scholarship after my sophomore year.
Wow, so, how cool is that?
Man, it was such a blessing. So
let me ask you this. So, okay, back up a second. And so you say, as a kid, how old were you when you first went and visited USC?
So when I first visited, I actually was my senior year. This was after signing day, so you're looking at 17, 18, yeah.
And was that your first visit of pretty much any college, I guess we'll say official visit?
So I went to a couple of schools. I went to Air Force. I was looking at Air Force a little bit. I went to Harvard and Yale. Those were two of the top ones on my list. And,
yeah, sure.
I forgot where else. But those were like the main ones that I was looking at. Georgia Tech was kind of in the mix. Illinois. I didn't take visits there, but yeah, they were kind of in the mix as well. So
And being young and doing all that, no matter how many visits you had, it sounds like it's got to be nerve-wracking. Sounds like it's or maybe for you, was it kind of calm, cool, and collected? Were you nervous?
I mean, a little bit, of course, like going to like a different state and being, being at home for the longest, like being somewhere different is always still kind of like a little nerve wracking. I also actually took a visit out to Stanford. Stanford was top on my list as well growing up. And so I went to their camp and I thought the coach was going to offer me afterwards, but that didn't happen. So it ended up going a different direction, but it's definitely a little bit nerve wracking, just being in a different environment, but it's also exciting as well. So.
Definitely. Yeah. It's definitely like a good sense of nerves. It sounds like kind of gets you going. Right. So, okay. So you played at USC, you said, so you started as a walk on and then you got the scholarship and you were there all 4 years, you were saying, right? You played all 4 seasons?
Actually, I missed my senior season, and a lot of that came from, so I got injured going into my spring ball of my senior year, and what happened was it was one-on-ones, came down on my foot wrong, and they at first I thought it was just like a sprained ankle. I thought it would be good after a couple of weeks, but went to get the opinion of a couple of doctors, and the last doctor was like, you're going to need surgery. And so what it was that Liz Frank was basically I needed a screw in between the first and second metatarsal of my foot. And so they were going to have to do surgery on it, and they said it was a 6 to 9 month recovery.
Oh, wow.
So wild.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah.
It's brutal. So, and because of that, missed your senior season.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Did you have any aspirations, NFL or anything like that? As you said, as a kid, obviously. But once it came to that point in time, your senior season, did you look into that or kind of said that was it for you?
So for me, I still wanted to go. Kind of like after all the politics that had gone on at USC, I was kind of like, I don't know. Like, of course, like I was like, you know what, I'm going to give this a shot because I feel like I can do it. I know I have the talent for it. So after I graduated in December of 15, I went home, started training, did that whole thing to get ready for pro day. And I was like going through it. It's definitely like a mental and physical grind because you're getting in shape. You're trying to lose weight and make sure your body is right for when pro day comes. So, but definitely had dreams of it. But once it didn't happen and had a couple of tryouts, and once that didn't come through, I had to think about, what did I want to do? What was a passion of mine that I could see myself doing? And I know for me, I did a lot of community service projects at USC. We went to like different elementary schools and worked with kids, and we did youth football camps and different things of that nature. And I was like, dang, these are fun. Like I enjoy these. And so I started looking into roles within the NFL that were similar to that because I was like, you know what? I can see myself doing this. This is fun.
Yeah.
And that the 49ers like had something like that. It was a youth football coordinator, like a youth football internship. Yeah. And so that's what I applied for.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. So I think you got a perfect segue here, right? You almost were taking the words out of my mouth. That's perfect. So so football didn't work out, but then you found the best of both worlds where you still have the passion for the game and being involved with football and found out, like you said, working with the youth and involved with the game and everything. So as if obviously I know, but let's say for someone who has no idea, tell me about you work for 49ers Prep. What do you do, right? What's your role? What's your guys' goal and everything about it?
For sure. So 49ers Prep is our youth football department. And one of the things we want to make sure we kind of promote NFL's Play 60 initiative, which is getting outside and active for 60 minutes a day. So I handle mainly our in-school activation. So we'll go to different elementary, middle schools and work with those kids. We'll give them a free T-shirt and play with them for 60 to 90 minutes for a camp. Yeah. So we'll take them through like a QB station, a running back station, a wide receiver catching station, and like some agility drills, and kind of just sometimes these kids have never, had any type of interaction with football, so this could be their first experience. And I think what's cool about our program is that, some of these kids may never have the opportunity to actually get to a game, but they can always say that the 49ers came to their school. So it's been cool to see that impact that we have, all around the Bay.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, and then I'm curious as to, obviously you're so involved with the youth. Obviously you care, and your impression of the game upon them matters a lot, I would assume. What do you think is like for whether it's parents or kids who are so naive to the game, what do you think makes football so special to kids, and how could they benefit from it, like what you bring to them with 49ers Prep?
I think as far as football teaches you so many life lessons, and just being a student athlete in general, I think one of the things that it taught me, your discipline. You got to stay on top of, your grades first before anything to be able to play the sport.
Yeah, love that.
You have to work hard and be able to, one, train and make sure you're on top of that stuff. Because if you don't train, then, someone is always going to be, outworking you and trying to do the little things to get better. So, your discipline, how to work in a team. I think that's very important as well, because you're going to be working in a team, whether it could be in the workforce, wherever you go to work or wherever that may be. What else? I would say just determination, motivation, and kind of like going through adversity, because I know a lot of times in sports we go through injuries or different things. Sometimes you're not going to win every game. So it's how do you, rebound from that? I know one of the quotes that always sticks out in my mind that my coach from high school, Coach May, he used to tell me. He would say, what does that mean? Nothing. Or it's like, it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. Because sometimes you could come out, lackadaisical, or you might not get the job done from the beginning. But if you finish and you rebound from it, then that's all that matters. So.
Definitely. I think that couldn't have been any better said there. Being a guy who grew up with football, and I'm still obsessed with football, even though I'm not playing. I love every ounce of what you said right there. It rings true, no doubt. So I want to back up for a second. I want to talk again a little bit about USC. I want to talk about, first, a lot of people, even myself, I could say, is that D1 football is like an experience like unlike any other. Can you tell me a little bit about it? Like, what was the day in life like? What was training like? What was it like interacting with the team, all that? I'm kind of curious to hear about that.
For sure. So for us, like just being a student athlete, it was a packed day. You're up at 6 a.m. Usually we have meetings or either workouts in the morning, and we have usually like a 6 to 11 or 7 to 11 blocked off period that's devoted to football. So a lot of times you would have your workout, your morning meetings, and then practice. And then after practice, I usually had like an 11 or a 12 o'clock class. So, go in, get your smoothie or a quick breakfast, and then you're straight to class. Mm-hmm. And then I would have, maybe one class around noon or so, and then another class probably around like 2 or 3. And then after that, you got more meetings in the afternoon around like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And then after that, sometimes it's study hall or whatever the case may be, because I know for me, I like to work in the study hall. I felt like I was able to do more and be, more focused there, because sometimes when you go back to your dorm or, your apartment, you're not able to be as focused.
Sure,
there's so many distractions.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, for many people, regardless of football, work, whatever it is, there's so many outside distractions. You really just got to find a way to lock it in.
Yeah.
So with that being said, what are some things people may not realize? Like some may say like D1 athletes and specifically football get special treatment or this or that. It's always been something that's been said, whether it's true or not. What do you think people don't realize? Obviously, you talked about all the hard work that goes into it. What makes it where it's a level playing field in your eyes?
To be honest, I feel like playing a sport in college is a full-time job. And I think that's something that people a lot of times don't understand. As a student, when you don't have that sport, you can focus solely on, your whatever your major is or your minor is.
Sure.
But when you have, a sport to go along with it, you still have to go through, practice, all those different things, and you're tired, you're trying to get through it and stay focused. And so I think, a lot of it, it's basically another job. And so you have to work, 2 and 3 times harder than the average student, basically.
Yeah. And something I feel like I heard, not through personal experiences, but I've heard from other people who've experienced it, not only is a sport, no matter football or not, but a sport while playing, school and playing while in college, a lot of people have to have a job on top of that too. So you say that sport's another job. Well, shoot, that they got really 2 jobs and school on top of that, right?
Yeah.
So it's really something a lot of people don't realize, I think, and they don't take the time to realize it. What it benefits, like you mentioned with football, and what it could bring to the kids and the youth is that hard work, that determination, like you said.
Definitely.
So after your time with USC, I'm kind of retracking you. After your time with USC here, you realize that, okay, you really like working with the youth and the game and everything, and so you led to the 49ers. What really was the defining factor that made you realize, like, okay, I love doing this. I love working with the community and the youth and football. What was that it factor for you?
I think a lot of it came from my dad. He does camps, and so I would be at the camps and be able to see him, kind of like the impact that he's had. He's coached so many different people that have gone to the league and had such an impact. A couple, to name a few, Kieran Fox, Adam Pac-Man Jones,
Really?
Cam Newton. So they're like a bunch of people that he's been able to touch their lives. And it's been cool to see that, Cam was over our house when he was in like 8th or 9th grade. They wanted to change him to a tight end. And my dad was like, people have never seen this tall of a quarterback, this, a bigger guy like this. And so he stood and he went after his dreams and did his thing. But it's one of those where it's like, got to see that all unfold right in front of my eyes,
Right.
And so that, and then also just to see like how kids, when you bring passion to a camp and when you bring that energy, those kids feed off of that energy and they're super excited. And sometimes they come up to you and you're like, and they're like, this was my favorite day, or you're the best coach, you're my favorite coach, whatever. And that's motivating.
Of course. Definitely. So, and then I'm curious is like, you've done all this at this point with the 49ers and 49ers prep specifically. I'm sure there's been some like forever engraved in your mind experiences that you've had already and for who knows what's to come. What are a few of those, I guess we'll say, surreal experiences you've had? You mentioned about those kids talking to you, and of course you love to hear that.
Totally.
What's something that you would say if you were to list off a few, something like, what you did and you'll never forget?
I think just the fact, like, our skills camp is one of our big camps. We do it for high school student athletes, and it's been cool to see how that's grown over the past few years. I want to say we started it in either 2018, 2019, and to see how it's grown, over the past few years. We started maybe around like 70 or 80 athletes, and now it's, going on like 150 athletes, and we do it at the stadium. So it's been cool to see how that came and unfold. And one of those things that for me, like as someone who was coming in kind of new to the organization back in 2017, I could never have imagined being able to put on an event. And now, now I'm in charge of this event, and it's been cool to see how through experience and through the help of like this organization and our team that we have, like that's been able to be such a successful event.
Yeah. And obviously everyone worldwide, this pandemic hit everyone hard.
Yeah.
How did it affect you and your role with the 49ers and your events? Because assuming so, you couldn't have them, right?
Totally. Yeah, I think it was crazy. We had just done our skills camp March 7th, I believe it was, of the 2020 year. And then that next week we went to a youth football conference when we were in Vegas, and we were getting notifications that airports were shutting down and just a lot was going on with COVID. And so we were like, okay, we got to get out of here. So we ended up leaving the conference early, and they said we were going to work at home for, the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Right.
And
Little did we know.
Little did we know.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, work from home is all good. And so my mom was like, you might as well work from home, back home in Atlanta while you got these 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, why not, right? And so I was able to get in back to Atlanta, and then we got extended another like 5 to 6 months.
Yeah.
And that just kept getting pushed back. And so one of the things I was really glad that I was able to go home and work from home and be with family and spend that quality time with them.
Sure.
Because I think the airports were about to shut down too before I got on my flight. So I'm glad I was able to get on,
Yeah.
But a lot of what we did during the pandemic, we had to kind of shift and transition what we do, because a lot of what we do is kind of in person,
Right,
going to elementary, middle schools and working with those kids. So we were just trying to see, how can we still have an impact? And what we did was we did a lot of stuff virtually. So I would be in my backyard. We put on 2 things mainly. So one was our virtual training camp. And so partnering up with kind of like our flag football league. We did a 4-week session that would encompass like a bunch of drills. So I would be doing drills for like a quarterback, wide receiver, all the different positions where kids could learn. Show them how to do a dynamic warm up, and show them just drills that they could do in their backyard or on the sidewalk or wherever they are, and they will be able to practice those. So it was a 4-week session for that. And then we did what we called a virtual fitness program, showing kids how to do push-ups, sit-ups, basic exercises that they may not have done before, but showing them the proper technique and how to still stay active at home. So, and then a lot of that, after the virtual fitness program, we started doing what we call like our virtual workouts. So I would be on a Zoom call with, maybe like 100 to 200, 300 kids, and we would be doing these workouts. Me and then our mascot, Sourdough Sam, we would do those workouts with them. And so it was a lot of fun for them. It was something different that they could do on a Friday or a Thursday that would kind of switch it up. And I know Zoom fatigue is real, but when those kids, they're able to get up and, see like a team that they love or a mascot that they love, then it makes it a little bit different and makes them happy.
Yeah, I was going to ask you is like, how did the kids interact with that? Because obviously as adults, like you said, Zoom fatigue was even, and not to say for the kids, even them from school, sit there, it's so much harder. If it was hard for them in the classroom to engage, they have no idea, right? With Zoom and with all of us. How'd they interact, though? Was it kind of a good interaction? Did you see that you got a good feedback from the kids being over Zoom still?
Yes, it was crazy because a lot of the teachers, they would send us, testimonials and just thank you emails about it, and just how the kids loved it. They're still talking about it, and how that was just something that was kind of like special for them. And of course, everybody misses the in-person, but when the teachers can kind of do something that's unique like that for them, then the kids enjoy it a lot. So we got a lot of great feedback on it. And yeah, it was a lot of just positive stuff.
That's so great to hear about the kids and the interactions that you hold with them. Obviously, there's no doubt about it, really, with what you do. So I want to ask you kind of what do you see with 49ers prep in the future? Are any big things like you guys are doing? Or you guys just kind of the same thing? What does the future hold for you guys?
So I know a few things that we want to do. We want to definitely expand our skills camp. I think that's one of the things that a lot of the parents said, we love it. Are you going to do another one? And so we were like, that's a great point. We would love to, possibly do one in Sacramento or somewhere around the Bay, or just kind of expand it as much as possible. I know another thing that we want to do is we actually just started what we call like our 49ers Varsity Flag Football League. And so it's a competitive flag football league, and kids were able to sign up this weekend. Actually, we have one in Palo Alto and we have another one in Dublin. And so those kids are able to, play out there. We had our mascot out there, and it's going to be a cool league. So we're excited about that.
Hey, let me know when that adult league is, all right? I'll make sure I'll get that first sign up. I got QB1, all right? That's awesome. So you talked about the future 49ers prep. What's the future for Ryan? What does the future hold for you? Do you see things, do you have aspirations, goals that you want to meet for yourself, even whether it's job-related or not? What does that hold for you?
Definitely. I know for me, I definitely want to continue to grow, continue to be able to hopefully, work my way up the ranks within the organization. I would love to be in charge of my own youth football department and be able to continue to expand from that area. I think another thing, I want to continue to build out kind of like my DJ business. I DJ on the side, and that's a passion of mine as well. So that's something that I've been kind of working on this year as well, working on a website, continuing to just kind of expand that. And I just got a new DJ controller, so excited about that. But yeah.
That's awesome. So, I think that's a perfect, another segue. You could host a show at this point. You're doing awesome. You're just handing me the segues, the transitions. But so tell me a little bit about the DJ work. You mentioned that just briefly. I want to dive into that a little bit. Where did that start for you? Has music always been a passion for you? Or if not, when did that come on? How'd that start and how'd that become?
So it's crazy because I've always been kind of like a musically inclined person. I would be around like in elementary, middle school, like doing beats, and my friends would be rapping to my beats and stuff. And so I kind of always had an ear, but I didn't really get into DJing more so until college. And so during that time that I got injured, I had a lot more free time. And so one of the things I ended up doing was I was like, you know what? I want to DJ. I want to see what that's about. I downloaded an app on my phone, and I just started experimenting, trying different stuff and just continuing to practice. And I got better at it. I started DJing a few parties like around college, and everybody would just come out and hear me DJ, and they were like, yo, you're really good at this. And so it wasn't until I got back home that I was able to actually get a real DJ controller, start practicing on it, and then just kept practicing. And one day, you look up and people are being like, hey, we need a DJ for our, graduation party, our birthday party, whatever this may be. So I started to get, referrals from different family members and friends, and I just kind of expanded from there. So it's been really cool to see how something that I did, start out on a little app has grown into an actual business.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have a stage name? I know some DJs got a stage name. Are you just DJ Ryan, or?
To be honest, it's pretty much just DJ Ryan.
Yeah.
And I've kind of stuck with it. I was like always thought about rebranding and figuring out, what else could, but nothing is really stuck. So from there, I just was like, it's just DJ Ryan.
Hey, sounds clean. Yeah, no, I like it. Simple as crisp. So here's a question for you regarding the DJ stuff, because I'm completely naive to it. I have no idea. I feel like there's thousands of hundreds of thousands, millions of DJs out there. How do you set yourself apart? How do you find a way like make yourself unique where you want people to say, oh no, forget that other guy. We got DJ Ryan, he's for sure it. What makes yourself unique, and how do you stand out?
I would say for me, just being a people person, being able to interact and read the crowd. I think one of the things that really stands out is you have to be able to read a crowd and see their reactions to music. And so a lot of times, like some DJs, they will play mainly strictly what they want and not necessarily what the crowd wants to hear. And sometimes you have to adapt, and you have to figure out, okay, they're vibing to that song. Let me play something similar to that they'll continue to vibe to. You got to be able to mix it up. So, and then just playing different music that, that people wouldn't like, that's like, dang, what is this? Or like make people kind of like be like, oh, this is dope. Like, it's fire. So, just the people person, being able to interact and read your audience is important.
Yeah, I would say so. Sounds about right. So that's something I actually didn't know, is that I thought most DJs, they have pretty much going to whatever event they're going to. I thought they had a set list. I thought they pretty much had a playlist, and it sounds, and it sounds so ignorant. You sit there and you press play, but obviously that doesn't make a good DJ, right? It comes down to is being creative, being on the fly, right?
Well, yes and no in a sense, because when you say playlist, I definitely come in. I try to make sure that I am prepared and have kind of like I see what the client wants and see, if they have a playlist, I'll kind of add songs that are similar to that playlist and kind of work off of there. And then I like to have something in mind as far as like what I want to play. But then sometimes I'll, do my own thing, kind of scrap and kind of mix it up and freestyle a little bit.
Okay. So will you switch between genres while you're out there, or is it like, because from the DJs at least I've known or heard is that people basically just put a suggestion in of a handful of songs, right? But do you stick to that strictly, or?
It really just depends on what everybody wants. I know I'm mainly like a rap R&B type person, top 40 pop. So I'll try and play that, but then also I kind of see what everybody's vibing to. A lot of times you can't go wrong with old school.
Right.
So like that's like always a good bread and butter to stick with,
Definitely. Yeah. So Ryan, I'm curious as to, you talked about the music that you play and how you switch it up and how you adapt to the crowd. I'm curious as to, do you reach out to people when you're looking for DJ gigs, or are you at the point where people reach out to you? How does that work?
So it's interesting. I feel like everything kind of starts happening naturally, as far as like a lot of it comes from referrals. You'll do work for somebody, and like, for example, one of my coworkers, they said like, hey, there's this, one of our friends is looking for a DJ for their Friendsgiving. So I DJ'd their Friendsgiving, and then a lady at the Friendsgiving reached out to someone who was there and was like, hey, who's your DJ for the Friendsgiving? And she asked me to do her birthday party. So I was able to do that. And then it kind of just expands from there. Everybody's like, they'll refer you if you, do great business, and,
Definitely.
People are on the dance floor having a good time.
I feel like you got, more likely not, you got some probably crazy crowds sometimes. Has that happened? Have you had any kind of crazy drunk people?
Thank goodness, no.
No, okay,
yeah.
good.
Of course, you got like people that'll come up to you and they'll say like the songs they want, and so sometimes it depends on if it like works with the set list, or
Yeah.
sometimes it's just out of nowhere and you like got to figure out a way to still be nice and still, be like, if it works within the playlist, I'll play it. But I try to like be as nice as I can about, when it comes to requests, because a lot of times, that can make their night right there, just hearing their one song.
Exactly.
Like, dang, I really enjoyed that. And that DJ and stuff. So
will you ever tell people no in the nice way, obviously? Or because I feel like every time from what I've heard, or even myself, DJ, and given obviously when drinks are involved, hey, can you play this song? And then I forget 15 minutes later, and it usually doesn't get played, right?
Yeah.
But they don't tell me no. I've never had DJ tell me, no, I'm not playing that.
Yeah.
Will you tell them no?
No, I won't necessarily say that. You could say something like along the lines of, I'll see what I can do, or, let me check. I may not have it in my set list, or, I'll see what I can do if I can kind of squeeze it in. I got you, whatever. But just try and be as nice as possible about it.
Definitely. Yeah. I love it. Kindness is always the best policy, right?
Yeah.
It makes for good business. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to back up one last. I meant to ask this earlier, and I don't know how it skipped my mind. And working with the 49ers and being the big football fan I am, and the 49ers, and have you worked alongside with any of the players within 49ers Prep? Or you bring them on with the kids? I thought I saw on your Instagram post recently, right? Was Fred out there?
Yeah, Fred was out there, and Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles as well. So they both came out to our skills camp and were able to work with the linebackers, and they were absolutely awesome. Two class acts that are just, focused on helping out the community. So appreciate them for stopping through. They were awesome. And I know Demetrius came last year as well too. So that was, or 2 years ago when we had it. So the
kids probably go crazy when they see them.
They are super hyped when they see, especially when they're coming in with their jerseys. I know a lot of the kids were trying to get them on the Instagram, trying to get like, oh, look who it is, blah, blah. And so they try and get the selfies and all that good stuff.
The kids love you. I love what you do, Ryan. I mean, every bit that you have explained here between, you growing up and your experience at USC and has led you to the path where you are now, in grand scheme of things, is incredible to hear. I love every bit of it. Where can people find you for your DJ work and everything on social medias? If people wanted to go look for you, where could they find it?
For sure. So I know my Instagram is DJ at DJRyan28. So you can check me out on there. And I'm actually working on a website right now as we speak. So that'll be up shortly. But also I'm on different apps. Like I know they have like Thumbtack. If you're around the Bay Area, you can look at me up and find me there. But I have a SoundCloud as well and a Mixcloud. And if you type in, go to my profile on Instagram, you can find those, and I have a bunch of mixes down on there that you can check out.
Love it. We got to get that plug in. I got to get that plug in. Make sure we know about all where to find Ryan stuff. So, Ryan, I really appreciate you taking the time out here, coming and talk and hear about you. I mean, I thought I knew you, and I just found out so much more. So, thank you much, dude. I appreciate it.
Of course, and thank you so much for having me. Appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. So, that's Faux Jokes. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you guys. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Until then, I'll see you guys next time.